So for the first time since I bought the iPad Pro with the M1 chip, I actually am super happy that I did. I've actually talked about this before, where I bought this, kind of the review on the channel, because I use the iPad Pro to edit all my videos on my channel, and I was kind of disappointed by the performance of this thing, and that essentially I paid a lot of money for not much. Well, something has changed, and ladies and gentlemen, I finally feel like I got my money's worth, or at least I'm really on the way there. I didn't think it was going to happen. I had even said, don't buy the iPad Pro with the M1 processor, buy the 2018 or 2020 version. And I think I can now say that may not be true anymore. It may not be true. Was I wrong? No, I was right. I was right at the moment, but things have changed. I want to tell you all about them right after this.
This is, you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back. And for all you new people, welcome. My name is Travis and I do tech videos every single week and have a blast doing them. If that sounds like fun to you, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Anything I talk about will be in the description below. But for now, let's just get into the video. I noticed something the other day when using my iPad Pro for the app that I use to edit my videos, and it's called LumaFusion. Now, if you're not familiar with it, it's a great app you can use to edit your videos, and I've been using it to edit videos on this channel for almost 2 years now. And why this is important is because it's actually kind of the measuring stick by which, over the last couple of years, I've said whether or not it's worth to upgrade your iPad or iPad Pro. And the reason for that is simple. A lot of people say, well, I don't edit videos, so why does that matter? Well, let me explain. When it comes to tablets, there's not a lot of things you can test to see if the performance is much better from one to the other. I mean, they're all going to open apps about the same speed. If you're going on Facebook, you're going to see the same performance. Video games are pretty much set in a way that's not really going to change anything. So there's not a lot of ways to actually test any kind of performance changes. By and large, you're going to see essentially the same performance, except for editing, where it puts more of a strain on a sustained level on the processing power of the tablet or even laptop or computer, depending on what you're doing. And obviously, the faster it can get done its work, the more time you save. And for me, time is money. And you can replace money all you want, but you can never replace time. So it's very critical for me to get the most out of my product as fast as possible. And that's actually why I bought the M1 iPad Pro. I was hoping for a better experience, but that's not what happened. I've done multiple videos on this channel about this iPad Pro and how I thought that while it's a nice piece of hardware, it's not really anything you should consider upgrading to. And to a certain degree, that's still kind of the case, but something happened recently that really has changed my mind on what type of value I'm getting out of this. Now, to be clear, you may not see the same value, at least yet, but there is something to be said for it. You see, before the other day, I was using LumaFusion 2.0, which was working on all the different iPads I had. And when I did a test between this iPad Pro and the 2020 iPad Pro, the difference in exporting a video was seconds, like 1 or 2 seconds. And I don't think you have to be a tech head to understand that saving a second or two here or there is negligible. It's absolutely negligible and not really worth your time. It's certainly not worth the money. And considering you can get secondhand 2018 and 2020 iPad Pros for a pretty decent price right now, it just made sense to tell people to get that. You don't get the mini LED display, but to be honest, that was one of the things that I said, unless it's compared directly to another one, you don't even really notice. But what is really important about what has happened recently is the fact that LumaFusion now went to the 3.0 version. And man, did things change. Now, let me be clear. There's a couple of aspects to this, so make sure you listen to the whole thing and hit subscribe if you want to hear more videos like this when I find out things that can make things better for your life, because I try to make these videos as soon as I figure them out. Immediately, I saw an incredible difference in the export times that I get on this versus what I was getting in the 2.0 version of the same app, which is kind of weird because, to be honest, there should be no real difference. Typically, when you get an upgrade of software, even in the editing space, you might get a little bit of optimization, but this thing changed the game. I was getting a 50% increase in speed. Basically, things that would take 12 minutes to render were rendering in 6 minutes, like just under 6 minutes. I actually couldn't believe my eyes. I thought something was wrong. I thought a setting was wrong, but I did it again and it worked again. I've never seen an optimization of software that's been out for as long as LumaFusion has been to come out with one update that completely made it so much more efficient. So immediately I thought, is it the M1 that's doing it? Well, yes and no. Now, I don't have the iPad Pro 2020 anymore, but my friend Greg from Grace Gadgets, who's also my podcast partner, still does. So I had him take a 14-minute 4K clip and just kind of edit it and render it out to see if there was a difference between the two iPads. Now, remember last time with the 2.0 version, there was only a 1 second difference. This time, there was a much bigger difference. Based on a 12-minute video with no color correction, on the M1 iPad Pro, he was able to export it in 5 minutes and 45 seconds, but on the 2020 version, 6 minutes and 42 seconds. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's only a minute difference, but it's more than that. Let me remind you, there was basically no difference between these two iPads just one software revision ago, which now points to the fact that maybe with software updates on other apps, we may see a larger gap in performance between the iPad Pro with the M1 chip and the previous generation, which we expected this entire time, but have not seen until this point. This is a huge deal. Huge deal. The M1 iPad Pro finally feels like it's something to get excited about. Because you got to remember, the older iPads are on the A12 series of processors, and this is the A14, so you would have expected something like this, but we weren't seeing it until now. So the fact that it is getting not only faster just by the software being upgraded, but it is faster than the A12, which is what we expected, we're finally seeing the benefit of having the newer processor. And now my entire suggestion of whether or not you should buy the M1 really has to do with a lot of things. Number one, are you using this thing as a professional, a productivity powerhouse? Are you editing videos? Are you doing pictures? Are you doing things to create? It does now seem that the M1 iPad Pro is worth the upgrade. Up until this point, I would have said no. This software upgrade is any indication of what other developers can do, then I'm kind of hyped. And this could go for anything, games, software, whatever. Maybe we are seeing very unoptimized software for this iPad. So will this happen across the entire operating system? It's hard to say, but with the new iPad OS due out very soon, we may see apps get updated just because of that. And maybe even some optimization. So if you have some software that you've been using on your iPad Pro and it hasn't really been performing to the level you expected, maybe we will see a difference. Again, the excitement is in the possibility. There are no guarantees that any other software will do this, but the software that I bought it for, that I bought the iPad Pro for, got it. So I am hyped. But tell me in the comments below, do you have anything you use your M1 iPad Pro for that hasn't performed the way you hoped it will, but now you think it might? I'm actually kind of hyped about this. And now I can edit this video and export it in half the time. Super hype. Let's go. I'll see you next time. Peace and love.